Alright, so welcome back. Today I'm going to be unboxing Dale of Merchants. So I saw an expansion for this game just about a month ago. Well, it was posted about a month ago, but I just saw it last week. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool game. And I should check out the first one. So I looked at the first one and I was like, is this the same game as the second one? Or should I say the collection of Dale of Merchants? Because the picture was so completely different. It had animals in the front. And this one, obviously, it does not have animals on the front. So I was confused and not sure if this was the same game, but I watched the review of it anyways, and I was like, oh, it is the same game, okay. So, anyways, it was posted 4 years ago, so this game's been out for a while. But I must have, ignored it because it just didn't look all that impressive when I saw it a few years ago. I probably didn't watch it. So, anyways, so I was like, man, this is a great game. It's too bad I didn't find out about Dale of Merchants earlier, because I would have totally gotten it a long time ago. So this Dale of Merchants is a deck-building game of sorts. It's also a short deck-building game. 30 minutes long, I think. So, and if you're playing with less than 4 players, it's going to probably be shorter than 30 minutes. So here's where we put the market. We have 2 sides. It's double-sided, so I guess you can use whatever side you'd like. You can use this side, or you can, I actually think it's this side you're supposed to use. Although they all have the numbers on them, so yeah, I think I prefer this side. This side looks nice and bright and vibrant. The other side looks kind of darkish. This one definitely looks more beautiful. It's got the turtle on it, or tortoise. It's got a lizard on it. So it's definitely really cool. So this is the market for the cards that you'll want to buy to add to your, basically to add to your hand for your deck. Now, I don't know too much about it. Well, like I said, I watched the review, and so I know what animals are going to be in this, and I know sort of how they work. But as far as playing the game all the way through, that's something I'm definitely going to have to learn as time goes on. But here's the basically like a sort of like a miniature catalog of other expansions for Dale of Merchants, and so that's really cool that they have more out there, more and there's even another game called Dawn of Peacemakers, which I guess was actually before this game came out. So, but anyways, that's cool. So this dice here is for the Ocelots. They're the only animal that gets to use this dice. So that's kind of cool. Each of the different animals in this game, each of them come with different, basically, ways of playing. So, like, the raccoons, they tend to want to steal cards and things like that from your opponents, which is, I think, is really cool, because I like that sort of thing. But, of course, you don't have to play with the raccoons if you don't want to. You don't have to play. You're not going to be able to play with every single faction in this game. There's every single animal in this game. There's 6 of them to choose from. And depending on how many players you have, let's say you have 4 players, you're only going to use 5 of the 6. So if you're playing with 2 players, you're going to use 3. So you won't be using them all. So it just depends on that. And you can kind of choose which ones you want. You don't really randomly decide which ones you're going to have. You just kind of choose, from what I understand. So, let's get that open. Alright. Got all the plastic off so we can take a look at these cards. So one of the animals is the scarlet macaw. And you can see that there's a 1 on this card, So everyone's going to start with one of these for sure. They're all going to get... So let's say you're playing with 2 people. You're going to get 3 animals, right? You're each going to get, 3 of these. You're each going to get 1 of these. So if you're playing with the Scarlet Macaws, each player would get 1 of these. So that's why there's 3, 4 of them, because you're only allowed to play with 4 players. So there only needs to be 4 of these here, 4 of these, because only 1 player is going to get 1 of these. So only 1 player is going to get 1 of each. So each player is going to get a Scarlet Macaw, but they're only going to get 1, and that's it. And then the rest of the cards they're going to have to get at the market. So anything 2 and up is going to be sitting on the market, and you're going to have to discard cards in order to purchase cards from the market. So that's, from what I understand, that's how that works. So the cookies, they go with the Scarlet Macaws. And then we have Shattered Relic. That also goes with the Scarlet Macaws. Then we have Spyglass. That also goes with the Scarlet Macaws. Then we have Flashy Show and Favorite Toy, which also goes with the snappy Scarlet Macaws. So those are all the cards that are basically going to be going with Scarlet Macaws. So if you're playing with Scarlet Macaws, you're going to get those cards. You're going to have these cards in your game. Those. If you're playing with the pandas, if you're playing with the Dealing Giant Pandas, you're going to have these cards, and each player is also going to get 1 of these if this was the animal that you chose as well. And animals, one of them anyway. Then we have Prepaid Good. There we go. And then, so we have a few of those, and then we have the Essential Purchase, which is technically essential for pandas, because they need bamboo, right? That's all they eat, is bamboo. So for them, bamboo is essential. So that makes sense that this is an essential purchase. That's an interesting name for this amount of bamboo. Then we have Market Discovery. Special Offer. Stock Clearance. And then here's our Thieving Northern Raccoons. And then we've got Nuisance, which also goes with that deck, obviously, with those cards. And Rotten Food. And Dirty Exchange. And Sabotage. So yeah, that's what the raccoons do. They're going to just try to destroy your strategy, your opponent's strategies. That's what they do. So, technique: take the top card from another player's discard pile and place it into your hand. So yeah, they're stealing cards from your opponent. So if you play with the raccoons, you're going to be doing that a lot if you're going to play with the raccoon techniques. Then we have the Hoarding Flying Squirrels. So they're another one of the animals in the game. Then we have the Empty Chest. And the Nostalgic Item. And then in the other deck of cards here, we've got the Acorn. And the Accordion. Acorn, then the Accordion. And then Winter is Coming. And then here's our Ocelots. See? Nice little dice there. You may roll the dice once in your turn and add the rolled value to this card's value for this turn. So they're all about luck. The Ocelots are all about, rolling the dice for luck. Some players will love that aspect of the game and want to play with the Ocelots the most, for sure. Because, it's a dice after all. It's the only animal that gets to use the dice in this game. At least in this expansion. There's definitely another one in the other expansion, or other expansions. New season. So we got a nice snowman for new season. Whirligig. Charm. Gamble. Blindfold. Now here's the reason why I was so interested in it. Sure, I like the raccoons, but I like reptiles the most. So I was happy to see that each expansion had a reptile in it. And so this one has the veiled chameleons. And so that's interesting. So the adapting veiled chameleons. This card is a copy of any card in the rightmost stack in your stall. So that's kind of interesting. They change cards, which is kind of interesting. They're good at changing cards and copying cards and things like that, from what I understand. Reflection. This card is a copy of the top card of another player's discard pile. So that's cool. So the cards, they're not extremely hard to understand. I don't think we'll have any issue really understanding a lot of the cards. So they seem to be pretty straightforward. Good old times. Gift voucher. Trend setting. Seeing doubles. And then the rest of these cards here are the junk cards. So when you're playing this game, you're going to start with a bunch of junk cards. So let's just say you started with a deck of 10 cards. You're playing with 4 players. So that means each player is going to get 5 of the starting 1 animals. And each of them, like the scarlet macaw, the raccoon, the chameleon, the squirrel, and the panda, for instance. They're going to get, they're going to get one of those each, for instance. And the Ocelots would obviously not be in the game, because I didn't choose them for this example. So they're going to get 5. Then they're going to get 5 junk cards. And that's going to be their starting deck. They're going to get 5 of these junk cards. Obviously, if you're playing with just 2 people, you're going to get 3 of the starting animals, and then you're going to get 7 of these junk cards. So it should even out. There should be just enough for that equation as well. And the junk cards are pretty much useless. They're useful for only one thing. They're only useful for getting cards at market. That's all they're useful. So the way you purchase cards in this game, from what I understand, is, let's say we have a card here on this one. Let's just say it's this one here. And its cost is 5. Alright? It's also going to be costing 5 plus 1. So this card here would cost 6. So you would have to have 6 cards in your hand, 6 junk cards, in order to purchase that. But the problem is, you're only going to have 5 cards in your hand at a time, so obviously you're not going to be able to afford that. Which is why you're going to have to buy cheaper cards first, and then get them into your hand. So now, look, we have a 3 here, so you could discard this one, this one, this one, and 1 more. So 3 junk cards and this one here. Then you could put this one into your hand. You would discard these, they would go to your discard pile, and this one would go into your hand. You also have a deck. So when you are done with that, if you have only a few cards in your hand and you don't have the maximum of 5, then you would draw cards from your deck for more cards, obviously. And then if your deck runs out, then your discard pile becomes your deck, just like normal deck building games. But that's basically how that works. Now, the way you win this game, though, is a little different. You don't win by victory points. There is no victory points in this game. You don't win that way. You actually win by creating a stack of cards. 8 stacks. So the first stack has to be a 1. Okay, and junk cards are not usually used in the stacks. Unless a card says otherwise, you can't use a junk card for your stack. So you would have to obviously eventually use one of your starting animals that you got, maybe the lizard for instance, for your stack of the first stack. And you can't start stack 2 until stack 1 is done. Then you would have to create a stack of 2. Now, obviously, that will be a different story as well, because stack 2 will have to be exactly 2. You can use a, just doesn't have to be the same color as this one if it's not in the same stack. But this one would have to be a 2. And the problem is, there isn't any ones that you're going to have exactly one of. I mean, you're not going to have 2 of these, for instance, in your deck. You're just going to have 1. So you're not likely to have the same one for this one. But, so that means you're going to have to get a 2 costing card to put in stack 2. Then, for stack 3, there are 3 cards, obviously. Goes up to 5, I believe. So, yeah, 5 it looks like. So, let's see here. Where's 3? Where's a 3? Here we go. So here's a 3. So the third stack would have to be a 3. Now, it doesn't have to be this. It can also be something like, let me see here. Let's do that, and let's do this. So, your stack 3 could also be something like this. It could be that and this at the same time to create a new stack of cards as an action. You could do that to create a stack of 3. That would be exactly 3. But it would only work if they were the same animal, if they were the same one. So these would both have to be the Veiled Chameleon or some other animal, but they couldn't be 2 different animals. So that's how you would create stack 3. Or you just simply get a 3 costing card for stack 3, and then stack 4 would have to be up to 4. It would have to be 4 exactly. So you could do 2 2s or a 1 and a 3, for instance, or you could do a 4. And then there's 5s, so you could do 5 if you wanted to create a stack of 5, or you could do a bunch of different numbers to equal 5 for the stack 5. And the player who gets out stack 8 wins the game. Since there isn't any 6s, 7s, or 8s, you are going to have to do a bunch of combinations of cards for the stack. So that's something to note. And these techniques, these uses, these abilities that these cards have, once you use them in the stack, you can't use them as an ability again. Ever again. At least the ones that are in the stack. So that's something to note. Which cards are you not going to use for your techniques, for your abilities, would obviously be good to use for the stacks. Although, sometimes you may not have a choice if you think you're going to lose anyway, that the other player's ahead of you. So it just depends on a lot of, you'll have to, it's going to be interesting, for sure. But since this is such a short game, you could probably play this a bunch of times and get good at it after a while. I think after 2 or 3 games of this, I'll be pretty much a master. So, anyways, I know this was a long unboxing video, but I just kind of wanted to show you some of the stuff that was in this game, all the cards, and also kind of just wanted to demonstrate of what this game would be like. But we'll actually do a how-to-play video again in the future. A real how-to-play video. So thank you guys for watching.